guys, I'm Elena V and welcome back to my channel. It's always a pleasure to see you come back, and it's also a pleasure to see a couple new faces. If you're not already part of this tight-knit community, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll always be notified as to when I upload a new video. Okay, without any further ado, let's just jump into today's video. In recent days, conservative talk show host Laura Ingraham has come under fire for what others are labeling white supremacist rhetoric that is attempting to continue the racial divide within our nation by blaming immigrants for the recent demographic change that we see within the United States. But before I go any deeper into the subject, let me show you the video if you haven't already seen it.
Parts of the country, it does seem like the America that we know and love doesn't exist anymore. Massive demographic changes have been foisted upon the American people, and they're changes that none of us ever voted for and most of us don't like. From Virginia to California, we see stark examples of how radically, in some ways, the country has changed. Now, much of this is related to both illegal and in some cases, legal immigration that, of course, progressives love.
Next day, Laura addressed the backfire and said that in no way does her beliefs line up with the beliefs of any hate group. She continues to explain that her monologue had nothing to do with race or ethnicity, but she attempted to bind the country by the rule of law. Here is a part of that monologue if you haven't already seen it.
I want to start tonight by addressing my commentary at the top of last night's show. A message to those who are distorting my views, including all white nationalists, and especially one racist freak whose name I will not even mention. You do not have my support, you don't represent my views, and you are antithetical to the beliefs I hold dear. The purpose of last night's angle was to point out that the rule of law, meaning secure borders, is something that used to bind our country together. And despite what some may be contending, I made explicitly clear that my commentary had nothing to do with race or ethnicity.
What I found most interesting about the video is the fact that she attempts to clear the air by saying that she did not intend to reference any race or ethnicity, but rather she wanted to bring the country together under the general consensus of the rule of law. Needless to say, I'm not buying it. But I couldn't help to see a couple flaws within her explanation. First of all, she did place an emphasis on the demographic changes within the United States in recent years, which she attempted to tie that issue with the most controversial issues that we're facing in regards to legal and illegal immigration. To say that she was not attempting to reference race or nationality in its many forms is a failed attempt to backpedal. In fact, the images being displayed behind her are meant to imply and to amplify her message. Showing farm workers and individuals climbing over border fences is making the assumption for the audience that in fact the demographic that she is referencing has to do with a specific group of people and their race and or nationality. What I most want to concentrate on is the form of speech, or rather rhetoric, she is using. She says that the belief of white nationalists do not align with her own beliefs and opinions, and she denounces such hate groups that she claims distorted her views. However, that does not change her original statement and what effect that has on the mind that's already predisposed to racial bias. But when you start your nationally broadcasted show with a monologue that hints and leads your viewers to assume you are talking about demographic changes, and you do not specify that you do not mean demographics based on race or nationality, you are allowing your audience to assume that in fact that is what you are actually talking about, which only continues to fuel the racial bias and hate within the minds that are already predisposed to thinking that way. If you, Laura Ingraham, have to address and further explain your message and what you intended to say, you did not do a good enough job in your original statement to ensure your message was clear and precise. This leaves the door open for much larger implications that I believe should call for some sort of personal responsibility on the part of the person who is delivering the message. Here's why I say that. We live in a modern day where racial tensions are continuing to divide our communities and us as Americans. And why is that? It is because of speech that is misleading and lacks precision. When you don't explain yourself or your message fully, it is easy for others to attach their own beliefs to your message and promote their own hate-filled agenda while also using your platform to do so. And here's a prime example of that.
I don't know why you hate us. Why do you hate us? Because we're Mexicans? We're honest people right here.
Yeah, racist.
Rapists? How many people have I raped? How many drugs have I dealt? Huh? Oh yeah? You believe everything you see on the news?
This lack of precision, in essence, inspires racism and hate because it does not attempt to cut it off from the very start. If an individual like Ingraham, for instance, explained their point fully from the very beginning, there would be no need for a retraction or another monologue to explain the original message. There would also be no room for others to be able to attach their own racist interpretations on such a monologue. But before you make the case for it being a mistake and anyone can be a victim of such shortcomings, remember, Laura Ingraham has professional writers for her show, and I am sure that monologue had to go through a few individuals before it was allowed to be read on national TV. With that being said, I want to hear from you, so let me know what you think about this subject in the comment box below. So if you liked anything that I said here today, be sure to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Be sure to follow me on my social media accounts. The link to those accounts will be provided in the description box below. Again, I'm Elena V, and remember, always leave things better than how you found it. Bye!